What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the spot where we kick back and react to all kinds of different things. Alright, so what we got going on today? We're about to get into another casual geographic. Your boy has dropped a new one, spitting some more animal facts, so you know we got to get into this one. This one's called Never Seen Animals Like This Before. Well, almost every video you've shown an animal I've never seen before, so one of the things I love about your channel. But alright, let's go ahead and get into it. Check it out, see what he's got for us today. Let's go.
Ma! Ma, come outside, there's a moose! Buffalo or some shit, they're fighting!
Oh, there was a gate there. I was about to say, oh, dude, lucky there was a gate there. Oh man, that made me jump like, oh, he's done. Oh, lucky.
Do you know what this is? I bet you don't. Chances are, most of you have never seen this tree chunk before. I'll tell you in a second, but first, quick question. If you had to take a blind guess, how many species of mammals do you think are in the world? Think of all the ones you've seen in your entire life and try to imagine what number that would add up to. The answer? 6,495. And counting, and that's just the mammals. Add in animals in general.
And counting. You always got to leave a little bit of room for the things we have not discovered yet. Always, and counting.
195 and counting, and that's just the mammals. Add in animals in general, and we're talking millions. Which brings me to my next point.
Armageddon, like that.
Armageddon. Oh, that was funny.
Illuminati from Madagascar.
You just hear Madagascar? Illuminati. Oh man.
What the is that? Damn, that's from Madagascar. Something from the Bronx. Oh, that's super.
I'm sorry, Pastor, so much. His answers are hilarious. What the? That look like? Why does that look like a baby face on a thing? I don't.
Nasty. One of the is right there on 14th Street.
This man is a wordsmith. Laugh at my man's all you want, but understand, if school doesn't teach it to you, and you don't see it in a zoo or on National Geographic, and it's not the animal of the week on Reddit, you'd have no way of knowing some animals even exist. Which is why I can personally guarantee that you haven't seen or heard of all 10 animals in this video. You might know 3 or 4, Animal Planet veterans might get 6 or 7, and hey, some of y'all might know 8 just from watching me long enough. But I promise you there's gonna be at least one animal I talk about that you've never heard of before. I put that on my hairline, and I wear this hat every video for a reason. So let's make a game.
At least he's honest about it, right?
If I show you something new, you lose, and you gotta comment.
It's okay, man. I got a bad headline too. I just go with it, you know.
What animal was the one to stump you? And for 90% of y'all, the game ends right here. Because what do you think this is? Some kind of monkey? Maybe an obese lemur or an AI-generated sloth? You're not gonna believe this. It's a koala. Okay, not really, but koala is actually closer than anything else I said. This porky, dead-eyed struggle monkey is the bear cuscus, and despite looking like nature made it on a deadline with spare parts, it's actually a marsupial. This thing that looks like a Madagascar understudy is more related to kangaroos, devils, and quokkas than it is to any lemur. And that's about as much as we know about them because we haven't been able to figure out much more. They've essentially been gatekept from the rest of the world, only found on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi and remote islands nearby. We have no clue how many overstuffed tree chunguses or chungai are in circulation, and currently only 4 zoos have this monkey sloth on its roster. Even its name is an identity crisis since cuscus means possum, meaning on paper, you're looking at a bear possum. But its Latin name is Ailurops ursinus, and I didn't take Latin in high school because French was too sexy, but I'm pretty sure that means cat bear. Basically, not even science had a handle on what this off-brand koala was. And they have the same meal plan as them, and since they eat nothing but leaves, they virtually spend their entire lives on quarter playback speed. In fact, this great value lemur spends 5% of its day eating and 63% resting. That's 16 hours a day eating and recovering from eating. That is load management, and boy is this tree chunk a load. They'd probably be cute if their eyes didn't disturb me on a spiritual level. This is a cuscus that has seen some shit, and clearly they never recovered.
The eyes aren't that bad in my opinion. Some of these eyes on some of these animals are way worse. That one's pretty tame to me.
Since they're painfully shy and will even cover themselves with leaves if they see you first, since they're terrified of humans and only live in the most isolated areas of the forest. Also, this is a Dalad bear cuscus, and they're a lot cuter, but it also looks like a wombat that got severely laced. But with them being highly rare, tree-loving marsupial introverts, it makes sense that you've probably never seen them before. But the next animal's probably the biggest one you've never heard of. This animal has been called 6 dissimilarities, and it's because it honestly looks like a wildebeest, buffalo, bear, and friends all did a fusion dance, and this was the outcome. This absolute unit is the Takin, and they can stress the scales at up to 800 pounds of pure confusion. The Takin is essentially a giga goat, with their closest relatives being the mountain goat and the chamois. And yes, the mountain goat isn't an actual goat because that makes sense. The Sichuan Takin actually shares a range with the giant panda, and they use that nose to heat up air before it hits their lungs. That nose job of necessity also makes it look like a moose that got too cocky with a beehive, which is no joke how they were first described by scientists. I won't do this for every animal, but its Latin name, Budorcus taxicolor, means badger-colored cow ox. Interesting. Takins also sweat oil that smells like burning rubber, and they use this to mark their territory. They're not known menaces, but they do have their moments. In 2007, a Takin broke into a man's house and injured him and 8 other people, one of them a pregnant woman. And in 2018, during a routine visit from the...
So it's not threatening, but they busting people's houses, injuring people? I need a full story and everything. If that was like a rare case, what do those people do to this, what's it called, a Tuscan? I'm just like, that doesn't just randomly happen. Either these things are a little bit more violent than you think, or he was getting his get back for something.
Not known menaces, but they do have their moments. In 2007, a Takin broke into a man's house and injured him and 8 other people, one of them a pregnant woman. And in 2018, during a routine visit from the vet, a Takin decided he wasn't having it anymore, busting out his enclosure doors and wandering the zoo for an hour, injuring 2 workers in the process. Basically, he's not...
He got sick and tired of captivity, maybe. They just don't like it.
A killer, but don't push him. Same thing with the next animal on this list, which might be the second biggest creature you've never heard of, because the tapir is endowed in more ways than one. But we'll get to that, guidelines willing. It's a giant plus-size river pig that's actually closer to horses, rhinos, and wild asses. Oh, and donkeys too. They're also the national animal of Belize.
I love his bias towards zebras. Oh man, I've been watching this dude for a while now. Oh man, more than a year and a half. I know that much. Zebras always getting disrespected.
Same thing with the next animal on this list, which might be the second biggest creature you've never heard of, because the tapir is endowed in more ways than one. But we'll get to that, guidelines willing. It's a giant plus-size river pig that's actually closer to horses, rhinos, and wild asses. Oh, and donkeys too. They're also the national animal of Belize. Shout out to Belize if y'all out there. There's 4 types of tapirs, and the Malaysian one might just strike a nostalgia nerve if you ever played Pokemon, because Drowsy was actually based on the travel-sized Oreo elephants of Asia, according to myth.
I was like kind of like thinking that at first, and everything, but I was like, really? But yeah, he was based on him. All right, more you know.
Actually based on the travel-sized Oreo elephants of Asia. According to mythology, this tapir was associated with the Japanese Baku, and the Baku were said to feed on the dreams of people, especially nightmares. The IRL tapirs are pretty chill for what they are, even though they can get into the neighborhood of 700 pounds. But they have the...
Well, that's 1-to-1, because that's exactly what Drow's all about. The Dream Eater ability being the strongest technique that he's got, or at least since last time I used them.
They are, even though they can get into the neighborhood of 700 pounds. But they have the dental facilities to bite clean through your arm, so they're definitely one of those F around and find out animals. One family found out when a tapir nearly ripped a 2-year-old in half during a supervised visit in a Dublin zoo. But for the most part, this boneless river rhino is just a flaccid-faced, gentle giant that I kind of wish the world was more aware of. I mean, just look at the teeth on this little guy. You can't tell me that's not cute. Speaking of babies and where they come from.
Well, at least Game Freak knew about them, but during a supervised visit, they snapped? I feel like there has to be more of the story if these are animals that are normally really chill. Like, what did the people in question do that made them snap? It wasn't nothing. I mean, we may never know if they don't, if they don't ever make it public, but still, I feel like there was maybe some provocation somewhere.
Tapirs must have made a deal with the devil we don't know about, since they have a 5th leg long enough to use as a tripod or as a DIY back scratcher.
Wow.
When it comes to herbivorous mammals of the world, the tapir is the real...
That is super disproportionate for its size. Like, what is that? Feel sorry for the females.
Talk of the walk. And to cleanse your eyes from that unsolicited salami stick, I give you the sensei bunny. It's actually a rodent called a viscacha, and its closest relative is the chinchilla. But sensei bunny just makes sense, especially since this is their default pose. And it's because where viscachas live is chilly. It's also kind of cold. So they spend every morning sunbathing and waiting to provide advice to anyone who requires it. Also, I really wish I didn't waste that Chungus joke earlier, because Come on, it's right there. And the reason they look like a vertically cheated but horizontally defeated obese wallaby is because, like the chinchilla, the viscacha has some of the densest fur on the planet. Also, I'll be honest, I knew about the viscacha. I did not know they could move like that. That's an actual sleeper build. No, like literally, they look like they were built to sleep when they're not passing judgment. This is the look of an animal whose natural predator is a P-test. Brother is faded. But
That was, I was full too, because I was over here looking like, yo, how does this thing even move with the way he's sitting? But they can handle their weight and they can move. I see that again. That was surprising.
Like the chinchilla, the viscacha has some of the densest fur on the planet. Also, I'll be honest, I knew about the viscacha. I did not know they could move like that. That's an actual sleeper build. No, like literally, they look like they were built to sleep when they're not passing judgment. This is the look of an animal whose natural predator is a P-test. Brother is faded. But yeah, that's the viscacha. And by the way, if you didn't lose the game already, this next animal almost guarantees you will. Because yeah, there is...
I didn't even play the game. I'm like, I already know I don't know. So, well, what is that? I don't know.
This next animal almost guarantees you will. Because yeah, there is an animal in this picture, and it's possibly the cutest thing most people know nothing about. And that's because not only is this animal nocturnal and lives in the Amazon equivalent of a penthouse, during the day, it's sleeping in the silk cotton tree camouflaged as a seed pod fiber. And that's how the silky anteater got its name. Because when your biggest ops are eagles with some of the best vision on Earth, that is the best you can do. Like the rest of the anteater family, they have claws. And unlike their cousin the sloth, they actually know how to use them. A sleeping silky will nap with its forelegs and claws right next to its face. Really not that different from dozing off with a knife under your pillow. They also can eat 5,000 ants a day, and they use that sticky barbed tongue to skewer and trap their protein. And since anteaters have 0 teeth, they have stomachs like bird gizzards designed to grind the ants down. Proof that beauty is subjective, because what's cute to us is a harbinger of death and genocide if you're an ant. But I'm not an ant, and you probably aren't either, so let's just take some time to marvel at this pocket-sized baby-faced dollar brand sloth. And it's not the only token from South America on this list. Cue the Hollow Knight. This might look like a regular run-of-the-mill bird, but this little dude has one of the coldest pickup lines in the game. That is a club-winged mannequin singing a love song with his feathers. Basically, this small bird from Central and South America has modified flight feathers, and by
I was kind of like wondering, I was like, is he done with his feathers, or is he just doing that, expanding his feathers whenever he makes a sound? But vibrations with the feathers. Amazing.
From Central and South America has modified flight feathers, and by vibrating them, the mannequin shoots a shot with a specialized sound that varies by bird. Some mannequins do a solid violin impression, others sound like fireworks on the 4th of July. Also, they make this sound by shaking their feathers 100 times a second, twice as fast as the mascot for ADHD, the hummingbird. And they do all this while dancing. They're really the Michael Jackson of birds. And I'm not even gonna pretend like I know everything. I didn't even know they...
I didn't know their specific name, but I think I might have seen these birds on like one of those National Geographic shows where they talk about like, it was like going through a multitude of different birds and their mating habits. But I didn't see the one with the feather part, but I did see the dancing back and forth across the branch like that. So I feel like I may have seen them before, but yeah, just never knew their exact name.
And I'm not even gonna pretend like I know everything. I didn't even know they existed until like a week ago. And if it wasn't for a certain holiday, this next animal might not exist, period. Also, I know the whole crab thing has kind of become a meme, but we're gonna have to talk about how many animals endgame is a rabbit. This is the second animal here that isn't even remotely related to them, yet stole most of their design. The bilby is another marsupial, meaning this and Snorlax monkey are basically family. The greater bilby can be found in the harsh, arid deserts of Australia. Now you might be asking, is there a lesser bilby? And yeah, there was. And now they're dead, so clearly not good enough. The greater bilby's not that far behind since they're endangered, which is pretty wild for an animal that only gets pregnant for 2 weeks. Not even exaggerating, at about 14 days, bilbies have one of the shortest cook times of any animal. They're also a close relative of the bandicoot. Yeah, that's a real animal, the more you know. But yeah, greater bilbies used to inhabit 70% of Australia, and today they're barely holding on to less than 20. And a big reason was humans airdropping threats like foxes and feral cats. But these days the word's been getting out about the plight of the appropriation bunny, and they can thank the sale of chocolate bilbies on Easter. Easter bilbies started in '93, and they've been part of the culture ever since. It's only right that they replaced rabbits, since rabbits are one of the things that got the bilby population in the mud. But today, there's well over 3,000 of them. Not great, but they're not in the worst spot. They're not as down bad as animal number 8, since there's only hundreds of them left on the planet.
I mean, upside, they're now like pseudo mascots for Easter. That's something, you know? That just means that more people are going to be sympathetic towards them. That hopefully keep them in existence. Hopefully.
Nobody would blame you if you went your entire life without seeing it, since they're shy, endangered, and the only place you can find them is in special underground caves in the Balkans. The Olm is a salamander that's blind, vampire pale, and happens to be one of the most fundamentally confusing animals in the world. First of all, they're not born blind, but they lose their eyes a couple months after they're born and even grow a layer of skin over them. Yet they can still detect and avoid light. The Olm can go a whole decade without food by storing important nutrients in their liver. Usually when you talk about animals that live the longest, you're looking at relatively bigger creatures like elephants, whales, and tortoises. This tiny blind salamander has a lifespan more comparable to us at about 70 years, and scientists believe they can max out at well over a century. For reference, there might be an Olm salamander right now that was alive when World War I popped off. A reason for this is, unlike Archduke Ferdinand, the Olm has 0 enemies. There was even one Olm on record that straight up didn't move for a whole 7 years. The Mannequin Challenge was in 2016. Bro just never stopped playing. Olms don't be rushing for anybody, which is why they wait once a decade to get laid. Yeah, they only breed about once every 12 years, which is probably why there's only an estimated 400 in stock. They done protected their peace so much that their whole community finna rest in it. And for animal number 9, you're gonna have to hear me out. Hyenas aren't unknown at all, but out of the 4 species of them, the brown hyena is by far the rarest and least talked about. Which sucks, because they're actually one of my favorite predators in Africa, because I love me an underdog. They're not really great hunters and will often get checked by lions and even their own spotted cousins. Not to mention wild dogs and jackals can get their licks in on their cubs. But brown hyenas are also major kleptos that'll pocket kills from their competition. Sometimes they'll body a 5v1 against cheetahs and walk away with their food and their pride. 2 things I think are pretty dope about them is 1, even though they're not dogs, brown hyenas have a social structure a lot like a wolf pack with the 2 parents and all their kids. And number 2 is that they managed to turn an abandoned town into a nursery. There's an old ghost town in the Namibian desert that has no trace of humans, yet brown hyenas use the desolate houses and empty mines as dens to keep their kids in while they go grocery shopping, which can mean up to 20 miles of walking a day. One famous hyena mother has apparently lived in these forgotten ruins for 15 years and even raised 9 generations of cubs and counting. Moral of the story, hyenas deserve better, and Simba really ain't shit for putting them out like this. But that ain't even close to how hard humanity has violated the last animal here. This isn't a raccoon, skunk, or a cat. It's one of the members of the cat side of the carnivore family, specifically called feliform, which makes this result of an over-the-hedge orgy more related to hyenas than they are to the raccoons they cosplay as. The African civet is only one of over a dozen species of civets seasoned across Africa and Asia. The raccoon colorway is actually a form of camouflage, since the patterns break up their outline and makes it harder to spot them in the bush. You might not have seen them in the flesh and fur, but you might have heard about them, especially if you drink coffee, because the world's most expensive and gate-kept coffee, Kopi Luwak, is made from the coffee beans found in the poop of the Asian palm civet. How they literally put 2 and 2 together to come up with that, I don't want to know. And of course, this demand could lead to civets being captured, caged, and force-fed coffee beans in order to supply. Full disclosure, I don't drink coffee, so I really wouldn't know, but there's no way it can be worth it. And it's not even the only civet to get its brown eye exploited by people.
They just let me know what coffee brand to avoid. I'm sorry. I don't want poop coffee. I don't care how you try to rationalize it. I don't care if you call it a delicacy or say it's some of the best flavor. I don't care how you present it to me. That's one brand I am completely avoiding. I've never drank it before. Thankfully, I never drank it by accident. And now that I know how it's made, it will never, ever be in my cup. Period. In fact, I'm going to back it up just to get that name one more time, just to make sure I don't forget.
And of course, this demand could lead to civets being coffee, Kopi Luwak, the world's most expensive and
Yeah. Luwak coffee.
kept coffee, Kopi.
You know what? Even looking at the picture, it looks like they're like stuck together by something. It just doesn't look right. Like maybe it's because I know now. And then looking at the picture again, it's like I'm visualizing it, but no, it's just now that I know, it'll never be a thing.
Luwak is made from the coffee beans found in the poop of the Asian palm civet. How they literally put 2 and 2 together to come up with that, I don't want to know. And of course, this demand could lead to civets being captured, caged, and force-fed coffee beans in order to supply. Full disclosure, I don't drink coffee, so I really wouldn't know, but there's no way it can be worth it. And it's not even the only civet to get its brown eye exploited by people. That was a wild sentence. African civets produce
Yes, that was a wild sentence. Bring it back. Let's hear it again.
only civet to get his brown eye exploited coffee, so I really wouldn't know, but there's no way it can be worth it. And it's not even the only civet to get his brown eye exploited by people. That was a wild sentence. African civets produce a musk, this white, nasty smelling stuff that scientists like to call civet butter. Civets use it to mark their territory, but somehow people figured out they can use its butt glands for perfume, specifically Chanel No. 5. And they get the juices they need by scraping it from the civet's pink balloon knot. So if you have some Chanel...
Ladies, any Chanel wearers out there? I hope this didn't ruin it for you. But now you know the power of knowledge.
Scraping it from the civet's pink balloon knot.
Wait, what?
So for 5. And they get the juices they need by scraping it from the civet's pink balloon knot. So if you have some Chanel on deck and it says natural ingredients on the bottle, there's a good chance it came from... Yeah. But yeah, civets in general are pretty cool. They can actually be super affectionate when raised by people. And if I had to pick a favorite, I'd have to go with Austin's palm civet. Literally only because I think they're cool looking. I mean, you're gonna tell me I'm wrong? So yeah, that's 10 animals you've probably never seen before. Except, when I was making this list, I was stuck at 11 and could not decide what animal to leave off. But then I realized, I have free will, and this is my channel, so y'all get a bonus animal and probably my favorite animal on here. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the tree kangaroo. Specifically, the Goodfellows tree kangaroo. Like the name suggests, this kangaroo's entire personality is trees. They're mad awkward on land, but they can jump from a height of 3 stories and fully tank the fall damage. They're kind of like the cuscus because of where and how they live. A lot of people in the same area as them have no clue they exist. But unlike the cuscus, who looks like the drop bear Aussies keep warning us about, the Goodfellow genuinely looks like a tree-loving teddy bear. And it's not just them. There's 14 flavors of branch bears, including the incredibly rare tenkyle, with only hundreds of them alive today. And the Wandiwa tree kangaroo, who scientists genuinely believe went extinct after going off the grid for 90 years. Until they randomly just popped up out of nowhere. And for y'all that don't understand, it's like the science equivalent of Tupac being alive this entire time in Cuba. Proving that when it comes to nature, the only thing we know for sure is that we really don't know much at all. But that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure to check out my TikTok and Instagram for more consistent uploads as you wait for the next video. And if you'd like to support this channel even more, becoming a patron on Patreon earns you access to exclusive content, videos before I post them, and you can even help vote on my next video. In fact, if you're already a patron, you probably voted for this one. But like I always say, it's more for like leftover money you're not gonna miss. Don't feel like you have to give anything, because really, if you watched the video this far, you've done more than enough. But make sure you drink water, hug your mother. Do let me know how many animals I stumped you on. I'm actually curious. And I'm gonna see y'all in the next one.
I didn't know any of these, to be honest. So, like I said, the one bird, I think I may have seen it, but it could have been a different bird, so I'm not even gonna say, oh, I saw that before. And plus, it was like years. Like, I really remember details. Oh, man, but interesting stuff. Always love it. Always love the content. Always love the education. Always love the jokes. Anyway, that's going to do it for this one. So, y'all know what to do. Go down in the comment section. Let me know what y'all thought about this one. Let me know what you'd like to see me react to next. Hit that like button before you go. Share this video with everyone you know. And subscribe if you haven't done so already, alright? So, till next time, take care of yourselves. And I'm out of here.